Hey there, my name is John Siskovich. I'm sitting in a chicken tractor right now to tell you that you are not sustainable as you think. And quite frankly, sustainable isn't good enough, and this is a video all about why. One of the lessons I've learned with agriculture is patience. You plant a tree and you don't expect fruit the next year. It might be 5 years before you get an apple out of that apple tree. When you're growing a farm, you're growing a business, you're not going to have overnight success in year one, especially in agriculture. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. Things are going to happen that don't go your way. You're going to find ways to survive, and the very lucky few of us get past that 2 to 5 year mark. 80% of businesses fail in the first 2 years, I think, and it's like 95% fail in the first 5 years. Now, with sustainability and the discussion there, if you think about how things are going right now, there's what you see in front of you, and then there's what people see further down the line. Right now, the conventional agricultural practices and the way we're affecting the environment is not sustainable in the long term, but because, you know, when you get shot with a gun, you get shot and then you have a bullet in you, and that's immediate and you're in trouble. But if you have a poor diet and you have a health-related disease, you're slowly eating away your life in a very real way. You know, like that one cheeseburger is not going to kill you, but if you eat cheeseburgers 3 days or 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, you're eventually going to die of a heart attack. That's a slower way to die. But you are going to die eventually, but that cheeseburger is not going to kill you. The way things are going right now, even some sustainable farms, sustainable isn't good enough. And we're going to talk about carbon sequestration in a second, but sustainable doesn't build anything back, it just sustains. That's the definition of the word. It's something that you can continue doing. We can continue down the path we are right now on a year-to-year basis, but on a decade-to-decade basis, things aren't going to improve the way that they need to in order to turn our planet around and make sure that my children and my children's children have a wonderful, beautiful place to live like I do right now. Now, if you think about that carbon in terms of the grass that I'm standing on right now, I live in the Northeast United States. This grass, this pasture land, well-maintained pasture can sequester 3 times the amount of carbon that a same acre of woodlands would do. I have deciduous trees. The leaves fall every year. They fall to the forest floor. They grow new trees in the spring. And while they're growing new leaves, they're going through photosynthesis, where the trees are breathing in carbon, breathing out oxygen, and using the sun's energy to create that green leafy matter. Now, the tree only grows those leaves one time during that year. Now, if you have a herd of cattle, if you have chickens, if you have ruminants, are the best for it because they're going to do it in the most quantity. They'll be eating that grass. That ground is going to recover. That manure is going to spread out, and then that grass is going to grow back and sequester more carbon. Now, as a grass farmer, you're going to bring your livestock back around onto that same piece of ground. They're going to eat that grass again, take maybe 1/3 to 2/3 of that plant, and then move on again, and you're going to let that ground recover, and it's going to grow back again. And that same acreage, if you think about when all the leaves fall out of the tree, how much ground they cover, you're going to cover more ground on pasture with your animals eating, digesting, and pooping out that grass and putting that carbon back into the soil from the atmosphere through the plant matter than the trees are going to have. That's regenerative. That's rebuilding. If you think about the great herds of old, you had antelope and bison and all these other things in Africa, and before there was more desertification, there were herds of millions and millions of animals sequestering carbon and putting it into the ground and growing grasslands and affecting our landscapes. And now we've gotten rid of and overhunted and gotten just to extinction in a lot of cases, those major herds, or down to a point where they're not having quite the effect. And the way we rebuild is by increasing that herd animal again, sequestering more carbon, and then rebuilding and pulling that carbon out of the atmosphere. It's also good not to put carbon into the atmosphere, but that's a much bigger discussion. So in terms of sustainability, not turning up your soil so much so that carbon doesn't oxidize and come back into the atmosphere, rebuilding, regenerating your soils, your land, and being respectful to your animals, the other people around you, the community, your vegetables, whatever crop you may be growing, is the way that you become more of a regenerative farmer. I'm not always the best with it. Not all of my practices are perfect, but as life is a process of continual improvement, every year I look for things that I can do on my farm to better myself, better my land and my practices, and thus better the community around me. So the reason why I'm making this video today is these are the conversations that I have. I'm very passionate about this. This is what I believe in, and this is why I've changed my entire life around from having a more cushy desk job to living out here. I'm about 10 years down this journey at this point, 6 to I don't know how many years. It's been a while. It was 2009 when I started down this road. So yeah, it's been 10 years. Congratulations to me. I feel very successful in that I'm still afloat to some degree, and I love what I do. I get to live the practices that I preach, and I find that to be just really, really rewarding. I get to have a community with you guys, and not only you guys, but the people who visit me at the farm brewery here, and then my immediate community that supports me and my family. And I am also creating this video to highlight the fact that as I share that story with people, it resonates with a lot of my customers. And to start that conversation, I have the Pasture Poultry Packet #2, which is one of 3 books that I wrote. And in the back, there are over 50 pages of infographics where I talk about topics like this, and sometimes very clever language. And one of my little fun things, let's see if it shows up on camera, the picture of Mother Earth with a sticky note that says, "Clean your room, Mother Earth." And it talks about sustainability not being good enough. And I talk about that on my farm tours every Saturday at 2 o'clock during the season. I talk about it at the farmers markets that I've gone to historically, and then talking about it here on the YouTube channel, broadcasting it to an audience to hopefully capture some people who believe the same thing, who can find that language through repeating what I've said, doing their own research to make sure that what I'm saying is real and confirmed on your point. Don't just take it from one YouTube video. Always do your homework, but then share that forward with your customers so that there's more people interested in it. And even if they can't be raising livestock themselves, they'll have a deeper appreciation for why you raise livestock, and then they'll be more invested in helping you and supporting you in your journey. I'm feeling passionate, feeling good this morning, recording these videos and here in this chicken tractor. Hope you have an awesome day. The sun is shining, the birds have mellowed out. I have other things to get going too, and yeah, until next time, I will see you out in the field.